We know little about the details of what happened aboard the 3 hijacked aircraft this week, but it does seem that at some point, the hijackers gained control of the most important part of the airplane, the cockpit. ABC News' Chris Wallace explains security in that part of the plane is crucial.
What happened on Alaska Airlines Flight 259 last year shows just how vulnerable the cockpit can be. The plane was on its way to San Francisco when an out-of-control passenger crashed through the cockpit door. The pilot immediately radioed for help.
At the 259 Mayday, we got they broke in the cockpit. We're struggling with them. Get us to San Jose now, quick.
Today, that pilot, Captain Gene Rao, recalled the terrifying scene.
He broke the door down. He was 250 pounds, 6'2", and the door should have been made of paper mache. It was that easy for him to come through.
The captain said he and his co-pilot fought him, even using a cockpit axe, as the man reached for the controls and said he was going to kill them all. Suddenly, some other passengers rushed in.
We had 6 or 7 large individuals, men, come up, and it took every single one of them to get this individual out of the cockpit.
What would have happened if those passengers hadn't come to your rescue?
I know, in my mind, if it would not have been for my passengers, that we would have crashed that day.
Most passengers think the cockpit door is secure, the last line of defense on an airliner. Well, think again.
The cockpit is the Achilles heel in security on board a plane right now.
Larry Johnson used to be head of aviation counterterrorism for the State Department. He says the attitude towards cockpit doors has been there to keep out drunks and nuisances, not hijackers. And in case of an accident, pilots need to get out that door. There's been another issue. Up till now, most airlines opposed efforts to fortify the cockpit because it would cost money, and the added weight would eat up fuel.
That's true, because airlines are looking at it from a business standpoint. You can never mix business and security.
You're telling me that the airlines have refused to beef up the security of these cockpit doors because of money?
They operate in an industry with low margin. They don't have a huge profit margin. So they're trying to save money and find ways to cut corners.
But until this week, most hijackers haven't had to knock down the door because pilots are trained to go along with them. The flight manual for one major U.S. airline says, if the hijacker enters the cockpit, remain calm and make every effort to cooperate with the hijacker.
Cooperate, don't try to resist, because you'll save your passengers and yourself with a cooperative, passive type attitude.
Captain Dwayne Worth, head of the Airline Pilots Association, flies 747s for Northwest Airlines. He says pilots have come to think they're dealing with hijackers who want to go somewhere, not someone on a suicide mission.
The type of hijacker they saw and the psychology behind it, that was going to be successful. There's been lots of hijacks, and that worked. But now we have a new threat, a new terrorist.
In the wake of Tuesday's attack, the Pilots Association has issued a new Get Tough alert to its members. The main point, take aggressive action to deal with suicidal hijackers.
Some of the things we told our pilots to do is to do radical maneuvers with the airplane, keeping it under control, depressurize the airplane, do lots of things that will throw the hijacker off balance.
No, depressurizing the aircraft, what's the point there?
You might make him pass out. We have oxygen and he won't have that much.
In your alert, you say the pilot must be, quote, mentally and physically prepared to take on the intruder.
If you're going to make that assumption, you're fighting for your life. If we're at war, and that's the war environment we're in right now, the assumption is going to have to be somebody's interfering with the flight crew and coming to your cockpit. He can't survive that experience.
Captain Worth says pilots should be prepared to use the axe in the cockpit and may even have to consider carrying guns. But that begs a key question. If hijackers are attacking the crew and passengers back in the cabin, are you going to stay in that cockpit and keep the door closed?
For most airlines, there are only 2 pilots in the cockpit now. If one of them were to be eliminated, it makes it very easy to possibly go in and take out the other pilot himself. No, I would stay behind the door. As much as I would be worried about my crew, I do not believe I would leave. I would not leave the cockpit.
Captain, what you seem to be saying is that we're going to have to turn our commercial airliners into flying fortresses.
Certainly at the cockpit door, we're going to have to. We need a national system, treat it like national defense.